Kids don't forget.
Kids don't forget.
You kids don't forget.
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 So Annie, how are you?
I'm great. How are you, Khalid?
I'm good.
Good.
So what is the correct pronunciation of your name?
Annie.
So simple. Annie. And what have you gotten?
Anna. You could anything but Annie.
Now Annie is usually a nickname for like Annette or something like that. Your name is actually Annie.
Yes.
So for you to get something else, does that frustrate you or you don't care?
No, it's kind of funny. It used to make me frustrated, but it's funny.
Right. What were some of the nicknames you had growing up?
Ruthie, mostly Ruthie.
Who called you that?
Mostly family and close friends. Most people don't know my name is Annie Ruth, so
Okay.
that's why they call me Ruth.
Oh, your name's actually Annie Ruth.
Yes.
And then it came out of Ruthie. How would like close friends? How would they know your middle name? Would just you telling them over the years?
I guess hearing my family say it.
Okay. Okay. Now, where are you from?
Camden, New Jersey.
Camden, New Jersey. Do you claim a specific neighborhood?
Parkside mostly.
Parkside. Okay. How would you describe your neighborhood growing up?
It actually was nice. We had, early 90s, we had tree-lined streets and older people on the block. It was all right.
Okay. Okay. Now, was that the only neighborhood you spent time in, mostly Parkside?
East Camden, 32nd Street.
Okay.
Westville Avenue. Fairview a little bit.
Okay. Do you see like differences in the three neighborhoods and like between Fairview and Parkside and East Camden, or were they all the same pretty much?
I think Parkside might have been the nicest, and then maybe East Camden, the area where I used to hang.
Okay.
Fairview coming in last.
Okay.
At least the park I was hanging in.
Were you an only child?
No.
Okay. So let me ask you a question. I want you to imagine that you are, let's say, 15 years old. If you're 15, and you don't have to say their names, but list out your siblings.
At 15, there were only 2 siblings in the home.
Are you the oldest, or are
Yes.
you in the middle, or the youngest?
I'm the oldest.
You're the oldest. So at 15, how old are your siblings?
14, 13.
Sisters, brothers?
Sisters.
So you had 2 sisters. So no boys to worry about.
Not in our house, no.
Okay, got it. So 14 and 13. If you're 15, so you guys all kind of grew up together, tight knit group.
Yeah,
Okay,
very close.
you guys still close today?
Pretty much, yeah.
Okay, excellent. So you got your 2 sisters that are kind of the same age as you. So if you're like in 5th grade, one's in 4th, one's in 3rd. Did you guys grow up with both parents?
No.
Okay, so I guess the first question I'll ask is, were you with either your mother or your father or neither?
Neither. My grandmother.
You're with your grandmother. What's your grandmom's name, by the way?
Rosella.
So we would say, hey, Miss Rose.
She's not with us anymore.
Okay.
But yeah,
Condolences.
No, it's all good.
But growing up, we would say, how you doing, Miss Rosie?
Absolutely.
Or Miss Rose?
Everybody on the 1000 block of Princess Avenue knew Miss Rose.
Okay,
Yeah.
Miss Rose, right. Okay, and everybody would speak to her.
Yeah,
And she probably was the one. You know how like on the neighborhood is that one house that's like super clean, like she's always out sweeping up the sidewalk.
Would feed anybody on the block.
Right.
Knew everybody's business, but never left the house.
Okay.
One of those people.
Okay.
Yeah.
So when you just said that you grew up with your grandmom at your grandmom's house, you just covered. I'm gonna just throw out a percentage, like 40% of the hood, right? There's so many kids that from the hood they either. First of all, it's very rare. I'll say the most rarest situation in the hood, and you can agree or disagree, is probably a child that grew up with just their dad. I think that's probably the rarest.
I would agree.
And then second is, in my opinion, is kids who had both parents. Like I grew up with both my mom and my dad. That's extremely rare, but it's not as rare as somebody who's just with their dad. Then I would say that third category of I was raised by my grandmother or my aunt or my uncle, somebody other than your 2 parents, but in your family. Actually, I would say they're second. I say the third probably would be, there's a lot of foster kids in the neighborhood. So the kids who live in the
Yeah.
foster homes. Then I would say second is, or fourth is, the you raised by your grandmom, you live with your grandmom or your aunt, cousin or something like that. And then first would be kids who is just their mom,
I would
right?
agree, yeah.
Just your mom is like the most common, period. And then just your dad is the least common. But the kids who live with their grandmom, like a million.
That's true.
It's like 40, 50%.
Yeah, that's true, and it still happens now.
So the fact that you weren't with your parents, do you feel like looking back, or even then, that affected you?
I would say yes. There are certain things, a girl needs her mom for, and a girl needs her dad for, and I didn't have either of those.
Okay.
My grandma did the best she could, but I really
Right.
could have benefited from having my mom and my dad.
Now, the fact that you were the oldest, it made you kind of the mother of your two sisters?
Kinda. I helped out a lot.
Okay. Okay.
They didn't listen to me because we're so close in age.
Right. They're like, you're not the boss of me.
No, not at all. But, we did the best we could. Yeah.
Okay. Did you know your parents? You knew your mom and your dad?
Yes.
How would you describe your relationship with them?
Problematic.
Okay.
would be the best word, problematic.
Okay.
Yeah.
Care to elaborate a little bit? Let's talk about specifically just your mother and then specifically just your dad, your father.
Just my mother. When I was about 6 years old, she started using crack. So
you were 6 years old in the 80s.
Yeah.
Which
she
is like
started,
the height of the crack epidemic in the black
yeah,
community.
pretty much.
In America.
Yeah.
Oh.
So once she started using, and I know this part just from over the years, going to NA meetings and stuff like that, she kept chasing, that high, and I guess that became the most important thing.
Okay.
So she wasn't available to us because she was off doing other stuff.
Okay.
Now, one thing I will say that was a positive thing at some point, and I'm eternally grateful to her for this. She realized she couldn't do it. She couldn't be a parent, and we deserved better.
Okay.
And then, we entered the foster care system that way. So I'm grateful for that.
Okay.
Yeah.
How would you describe your relationship with your dad?
Toxic for the most part, especially when I was younger. But I'll put it like this: he had been through a lot and didn't know how to be a parent.
Okay.
And consequently, things happened, and so for most of my childhood, he was incarcerated. So,
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you ever go to the prison or the jail to visit him?
I was forced to when I was younger.
Okay.
When I was little.
What was
And
that
then,
experience like?
You kind of grit your teeth and bear it. And then once I got to be old enough and say, hey, I don't want to go.
Right.
Thankfully they didn't force me to go at that point. So that was kind of cool.
Okay. Okay.
I did visit him once as a late teen, like when I was in my late teens.
Right.
To get some closure.
Okay.
And I was grateful for that.
What was that experience like, that last closure experience? Like, did you go to the jail and just black out on him? Or?
I went in, I said what I had to say. But the weird part was, even though this man had not been around since I was, physically around, since I was, 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
And even though this man should have earned my hate and not my respect.
Right.
Face to face, I respected him enough not to annihilate him,
Right.
So,
right.
I've always been fond of writing and stuff like that. So I wrote him a 10-page letter.
Really?
It was probably the most bipolar letter I've ever written.
I love you, I hate you.
Yeah,
in the same letter.
I hate you. I love you. He's just still my dad, but
Right.
And
so you wrote him a letter beforehand?
No. After this was maybe 2 or 3 years later.
Okay.
I started dating my fiance.
Okay.
And he was like, yo, you're never going to be able to really love anyone or really love yourself until you deal with the situation with your dad.
Right.
And I was like, you might be right.
Okay.
So I wrote him a letter, and honestly, I didn't think I was going to get a response. But, he responded.
He responded.
Like, I understand.
Okay.
And that was probably the best thing he could have said.
Right.
I understand. Yeah.
Okay. So you know who your parents were.
Absolutely.
And by the way, so when you were younger and you knew your mom was strung out, did you know where to look for her if you ever wanted to see her? Or was she disappear and just come back?
Not until I was about maybe 10 years old.
Okay.
And started really paying attention to, because when I was around 10, I wanted, there were certain things I wanted to talk to my mother about.
Okay.
And so I would try to seek her out. You know,
Okay.
so I knew she might be on 7th and Kane, or I knew she might be, you know, down on Stephen Street or something like that. So I kind of like started, you know, trying to find her.
Okay.
You know.
Did you ever find her any times?
I did.
You did? Okay.
And if I was lucky, she would be clear enough to speak to
I was
me
about
for
to
a
say,
couple
would she
minutes.
recognize you when you found her?
She always recognized me, and she would
Okay.
tell me to leave. You know, because I will say she never wanted us to see her like that.
Right. She probably
You know
was
what I'm saying?
embarrassed that you even saw her. Right.
Yeah, she would be like, you know, Ruthie, now's not a good time. You know, I'll come see you at your grandma's house.
Okay.
You know, and you would be waiting.
Right. You waiting for her at
So
grandma's.
yeah,
Like,
so
where is
after a
she?
while, I'm like, listen, Nancy will be around when she'll be around. And that's
Right.
that. You know,
Okay.
it is what it is, yeah.
So you know who your parents are. You
Yeah.
know how they raised you or didn't raise you.
Right.
How would you? So my first question is: are you a parent today?
Yes.
How many beautiful
I have,
blessings do you have?
An 18-year-old son.
Okay.
And, I mean, a daughter. Oh, Lord. and my son is about to be 17 in March.
Oh wow! So
yeah.
the way you and your sisters were, that's how your kids are.
Yeah, they're
Interesting.
half apart, yeah.
So now, you know how your parents raised you or lack thereof. You know how your grandmother raised you.
Right.
You know what their parenting styles were. How would you say that your parenting styles are similar or different from theirs?
Well, as far as my parents, I didn't know what good parents were.
Okay.
So I kind of approached it as like, I'm going to do the opposite of what they did.
Okay.
You know, like, I won't abandon my kids. I'll be there for them and stuff like that.
Okay.
My grandma was very big on, like, you know, discipline and I don't mean like so much physical discipline.
Okay.
But I mean like in your approach to everything, you should be disciplined kind of. So that kind of filtered over. You know, my kids aren't allowed to do certain things. You know, I always monitor, you know, the people they're with, the places they go, the things that they do.
Okay.
We're very close.
Even at this late teenage age,
my kids and
they're
I,
upperclassmen.
we're very close. Like,
Okay.
I know people say you shouldn't be friends with your kids.
Right.
But we really are friends. Do you understand what I'm
No,
saying?
I totally
Like,
understand. Because some people are like, yo, I'm not your friend, I'm the parent.
Mm-hmm.
Because sometimes kids get too familiar, so to speak.
No, honestly, I've been very, very blessed. Like, looking back on the things that I did when I was younger and some of the stuff that I probably put my grandmother through that I really shouldn't have.
Right.
I've never been touched by even a fraction of that. You know?
Okay.
Yeah, I'm really, really blessed as far as that's concerned.
Okay.
Yeah.
So your parenting style is a direct reflection of how you grew up.
Absolutely.
With lack of parenting, basically. Your grandmom did what she could, but she already had her kids, basically.
Yeah.
So you're like, I'm going to be the complete opposite of what my parents were.
Yeah, that's exactly what I do.
Okay. Is there a father in their lives?
Yes.
Okay. See,
Yeah.
exactly. Like,
Yeah.
You made sure of that.
You know, I got lucky, honestly.
Okay.
I really, really did get lucky. I got somebody who's family oriented and,
Okay.
you know, wanted to be there. Had a similar upbringing
Okay.
as far as our moms are concerned.
Okay.
You know, his dad was around, but not really around because he was in the military and stuff like
Okay.
that. So he wanted to be like a hands-on parent.
Got
you know?
it. Got it.
And so we kind of, like, we met in the middle and made it work.
Right.
You know. So
Okay.
it's cool. Yeah.
I bet you don't remember all the schools you went to growing up.
Laundry list.
All right, let's start. Kindergarten, go.
Oh my goodness. I believe I was at Wiggins in kindergarten.
Okay. Where is Wiggins? Is that in Camden?
Yes. South Camden, I believe
South
it
Camden.
is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like that is so South Camden is also considered in some cases downtown.
Yeah,
Right,
like
right.
the older downtown.
Right.
You know, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
First grade.
You did Wiggins strictly kindergarten.
Straight kindergarten.
Okay.
Yeah. And then I believe first grade also.
Okay.
The other grades get kind of blurry, but I went to Landon Square.
Landing Square is also downtown.
Downtown, yeah, McGraw,
East Camden.
Dudley,
East Camden.
Forest Hill.
That's Parkside.
I believe I'm missing one. I'm trying to remember. But like I visit.
Northeast.
Northeast.
Maybe.
Yes.
Molina. Wow.
Yeah.
So elementary school is 5 grades, and you went to like 6 schools.
Yeah. Most of it, Landon Square. I was with
Davis.
my mother. Oh, Davis. Yes. I went to
Davis and East
also.
Camden.
Yep.
Okay.
Went to Davis also.
So wait, let's stop. So that's Wiggins, Landing Square, Forest Hill, McGraw, Dudley, Northeast, and Davis.
Yeah.
That is 7 elementary schools you went to.
Yeah.
In let's call it a 6-year period from K through 5.
Yeah. Actually,
What was that like growing up?
It was interesting. Some schools.
You had friends all over the city.
Honestly, after like second or maybe even third grade, I tried not to even really make friends. I would just go in there and do my work because I didn't know how long I was going to be in that particular location.
Okay, right.
So
right.
you kind of get to the point where, and I kind of, not, I don't know, people always kind of approach me trying to be my friend.
Right.
But I'm like, I don't know how long I'm going to be here, so, maybe I shouldn't.
Okay.
But,
okay.
and that all that was actually probably first through fourth grade, actually.
Okay.
The bulk of that. Because the middle of fourth grade, I actually went from, I went to Forest Hill, finished up fourth grade there, and did all of fifth grade at Forest Hill.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, were you one of the smart kids in school?
I don't know. People always say I was,
Okay.
But
Okay.
you would know. You
Were
were
you-
there.
Right,
You
exactly.
were one of the smart ones. Actually, I'm like, Khalid is so smart. I gotta beat him.
I'm so humble.
Yeah.
So at Forest Hill, you were probably in the CHIPS program.
Yes.
You were. See, and that was the smart kid program.
Yes.
So so that's excellent. So where'd you go to middle school?
I went to Hatch.
Okay,
Parkside.
where's that? Hatch is in Parkside. Okay, did you spend the entire middle school at
Yes.
at Hatch?
Yes.
Okay, how was that experience of
It
being
actually-
in one school for the whole
It was
thing?
refreshing. It was refreshing. Once I got comfortable, oh my goodness, boy did I have fun.
So let's talk about that for a second before you got comfortable.
Yeah.
So you bounced around at elementary school, and then you were in one stable location for middle school.
Yes.
Did your parental arrangement change? Like, was your grandmom the one that was moving around from K to?
No. So when I was in when I was about 6, maybe about 6 and a half.
Okay.
We went into the foster system. So at that point,
And that was around the time your mom started using.
she was already using.
She was
trying
already
She was
using.
trying to hold it together for a while.
Right.
But I guess at that point she just realized she couldn't do it.
Okay.
So we entered into the foster care system, and I'm trying to think. So
How
I
did
was out
that
in East
happen?
Camden.
How did that happen? Like the foster care system, like now looking, you might not have known then,
Mm-hmm.
but do you know now how it happened? Like, did somebody call it like DIFUS, the Division of Youth and Family Service, on your parents?
The first time, I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure exactly what happened. I just know one day I got picked up from school. By
They
someone
came to
who
your
was-
school?
Yeah, by someone who was not my mother.
Okay.
And she had my other 2 sisters in tow. And that, I was invested. I'm like, wait a minute, like, why do you have my sister? So
Right.
I wasn't going to, even at 6 years old, I wasn't going to let them go anywhere alone. And we had a baby brother at that time too. So,
Okay.
yeah, so, she had all the other kids, and I'm like, okay, well, let me see what's going on. So I was like, let me go along and see what's happening. So, we were in the system at that point for like a year and a half. And that's when I went to, I left Landon Square and went to, I want to say Davis at that point. I want to say Davis, yeah.
Okay. So you're in a foster care system. They didn't take you to your grandmom's house.
No, not at that point, no.
So did you talk to anybody in your family?
No.
Oh, wow. So you guys were just living. Do you remember who you lived with? Where they took you?
An older couple in East Camden off of 32nd Street, if I'm not
So at least they kept all 3 of you together and didn't
There were
split
4 of
you.
us at that
All
point.
4 of you together.
Yeah, and they kept all 4 of us, yeah.
And didn't split you up. So you
No.
guys were there for a year and a half.
Yeah.
Okay, got it. Where you were kind of watching out for them.
Yeah.
So you graduated from Forest Hill, which is in Parkside.
Mm-hmm.
So let me guess, by 5th grade, you were with your grandmother at this point?
By 4th grade, yeah.
By
like the
4th
middle
grade?
of 4th grade, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So you did 4th through 8th grade with your grandma.
Actually, through 12th, yeah.
Through 12th, really? Okay, so your grandmom kept you guys for the rest of the duration.
Yep.
Like, let me get my grandkids out of foster care. Okay, so that year and a half that you guys were in foster care, she probably was going through it, fighting for you to get
She
you guys.
probably
Because it's
was.
not an overnight thing once you're in the system.
No, it's not. Well, so what happened was we got out of the system. We went back with our mother. And we were with her, I'm trying to think, for maybe 2 years, probably, maybe 3 years. By my 10th birthday, we were actually back in the system. And this time, there were more of us. There were 7 of us at this point. So I went to my own foster home. My 2 sisters went to their own foster home. And then the 4 little kids were together at another foster home.
Okay.
So in 90, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay.
Before,
How old are you in 90?
10.
You're 10 years old,
Mhm.
okay?
Yeah, so in 1990, the 4 youngest kids ended up being shipped down to Georgia with my mom's sister. And
Okay.
then me and my 2 younger sisters ended up with my grandmother. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you, like you said, you were so refreshed that you guys were finally, like, not moving again, out of foster care, with your actual blood family?
Yeah, it was nice. You know, I could sleep.
Right.
Yeah, I could sleep at
Right.
night. Yeah.
Okay, when you guys got there, did your grandmom lay down the law, or did, like, things just happen as you went?
No, they kind of like things just happened, I guess, organically. She, you know, like I said, she was very strict on discipline and things like that. But she understood we had been through some things.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
Yeah, so she gave us love and support.
So your grandma was real delicate with that situation.
She
'cause
really was.
You guys were fragile.
Yeah, she really
Okay.
she really was. Yeah.
Wow. So you bounced around from school to school to school,
House to house to house.
house to house to
Yeah.
house. Right. Right. I totally understand that. That's crazy. So you get into high school. Let's talk about high school. So you graduate from Hatch in 8th grade, and you go to.
Camden High.
You went to Camden High. You did you do 9th through 12th at one high school?
Yes, thank God.
Wow, that's like 2 different lives, right?
Yeah.
So remember the first from age like birth to 10, you bouncing around. Even you said it. I went to in elementary school. You went to 7 elementary schools. That's unheard of. Well, now it's not, right?
I should get an award for that.
Right. But then you went to 1 middle school and 1 high school.
Yes.
So now that you're a grown adult, you look back at that. How would you describe it overall? Like without
a wild ride.
A wild ride.
Yeah, it was really, really wild. Yeah.
Okay, and it ended in high school. So how would you describe your high school experience?
It actually was alright. Like, you know, I made friends. I actually have friends, you know, from high school that I'm still friends with today. And I don't know. It was alright.
So when you got to your grandmother's house, that's the point where you're like, all right, I can let go and make some friends now because I know I'm in a stable environment.
Right.
Okay. That's real cool. So in high school, did you start working?
Yes.
Do you remember your
sophomore
first
year.
ever job?
Taco Bell.
Really? Taco Bell?
Yeah.
Where was it?
Route 73, Pennsauken, right behind the high school.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. How was that experience?
Listen, it was very colorful. We were right down the street from Roger Wilco.
Okay.
And,
Which is what? What's Roger Wilco?
A liquor store.
A liquor store?
Yeah, it looked like a liquor warehouse.
Right.
And we were open. I think Taco Bell was probably one of the first fast food places to stay open till like 1, 2 o'clock in the morning.
Okay.
So people would, you know, go get lit, you know, coming from the liquor store.
Right.
I used to get flashed in the drive-through. Listen, all kinds of stuff used to go down there. Yeah. But I met some really great people there. Actually, my 2 best friends I met when I was working there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
How would you say that you got through it academically in high school? How was your academic transition?
It was okay.
Okay.
Yeah, it was okay. I mean, I probably could have did a lot better if I applied myself more looking back on it.
Right.
Book stuff never came hard to me, so I never really had to try too hard.
Right. You were very, very
Not to
smart.
be cocky or anything, but I just never really had to. So,
Right.
you know,
That was the type of learner I was. Like, if
Yeah.
I was in class the day that a topic was introduced, like a new concept was introduced, I didn't have to study.
Exactly.
The only
Same
time I had to study where I had a problem, which was I was in school every day, so I never missed. But this happened to me in college. If I missed the introduction of a concept, I was behind, which is frustrating. Like if I was there the first day and then I missed like 2 classes, but it's the same concept, I'm good. But for some reason, I got to be there at the introduction of the concept. So I feel you. Like, yeah, you kind of got that. So was the drive for you to go to college? Like once you graduated, like how did that happen? What happened to you after graduation?
College was the plan, but it didn't turn out that way.
Okay, what happened?
Well, my grandmother passed away a couple months after we graduated from high school.
Really?
So I ended up getting my own place, and then my sisters ended up moving in with me.
With you? What happened to your grandmom's house?
Honestly, I think like an uncle or aunt or somebody ended up staying in there.
Okay, so the family had it.
Yeah.
That had to
It
be
wasn't
devastating for you 3.
It was
Was it sudden or did you know it was coming?
It was sudden. Yeah,
It
she
was
had a stroke and then a heart attack, passed away. Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, I went from like, ooh, I think I'm gonna go to college to kind of like, crap, I guess I gotta work. And then, if I had a better support system,
Right.
I could have maybe went to school at least part-time or something.
Okay.
But I ended up working 2 jobs straight out of high school.
Got it.
Yeah.
So where did you work? Where'd you work?
At that point, I started working at, I believe Barnes & Noble, And then I was working at Strawbridge's. Yeah.
So you were at the mall.
Mhm.
At the mall, okay. Okay. Which mall, by the way?
Barnes & Noble was out in Moorestown, right across from the Moorestown Mall.
Okay.
And then Strawbridge's was Cherry Hill Mall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Both in Jersey.
Yes.
Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
All right. With all that being said, let me ask you a question.
Mhm.
On a scale of 1 to 10,
Mhm.
with 1 being the worst ever and 10 being the best possible,
Mhm.
how would you personally rate your childhood?
About a 6.
5 to 6.
Yeah.
What would it have taken for you to make it say like 7 or 8?
I would say maybe a more stable environment throughout the whole process
Okay.
of growing up. At least if I had my mother, to lean on when I needed her.
Show
to
you
talk-
more love.
Yeah, because I made a lot of mistakes that I probably wouldn't have made if,
Okay.
if I had, parents. Put it
Right.
like that, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it seems like what I'm gathering or what we've talked about is that as opposed to being raised on love, you were raised on survival.
Absolutely.
Even after high school, it's like you had to abandon your college plans, at least temporarily, because you got thrown to the wolves into the real world. And you don't have the person to fall back on who you've been falling back on this whole time.
Exactly, yeah.
What do you like, how would you describe like being raised on survival and like how it had you geared growing up?
I think it made me a more driven person.
Okay.
I guess I'm stubborn in the sense that I always have something to prove, especially to myself.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So if I feel like I can't do something, I'm like, no, you got this, you got this.
Right.
So it's hard for me to give up on certain things, but that's also a strength, I think.
Okay.
You know.
And we heard that you're a room reader.
Yes. One of the things, growing up, children were seen and not heard.
Right.
So consequently, and I didn't want attention because in my experiences, when you had attention, negative things happen to you, bad things happen to you. So
Right.
I was one of those people who'd be silent as a mouse in the room, and I could
Okay.
read and I'm still like that now. Like first couple times you meet me, I may not say much to you. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So I'm trying to fill you out and trying to fill the.
You're like a boxer in those
Yeah,
first couple of
yeah,
rounds. People
yeah.
are like, yo, this first 3 rounds was boring. They're
Yeah.
filling each other out,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Right. Okay. So you're a room reader. You're a people reader. You're also a book reader.
I love books.
Okay. So you
Absolutely.
read a lot.
Yes.
You read a lot growing up. Okay.
Yeah.
What did you read about? Did you have a favorite book? Was that your only activity?
Not necessarily. My favorite book probably would be The Coldest Winter Ever by
Okay.
Sister Souljah.
Okay.
I'm actually going to reread that soon.
Okay.
But because I haven't touched it since I was a young girl.
Right.
As a
Right.
41-year-old woman, I want to see if it still hits as hard as it did then.
Okay.
So, but I like to read about romance, historical books. I've always been a history buff, so
Okay.
I love almost anything to do with anything historical.
Okay.
Especially Black history and stuff like that.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you just say 41? You don't look a
Yeah.
day over 30. Stop it.
Thank you.
Stop it.
Well, you know how old I am. I can't lie to you.
Let me ask you a
Yeah.
question. Do you have a worse childhood day that if you could, you would like erase it from happening, or a moment or a time period?
That is very, very hard to pinpoint.
Okay.
Because, I have a lot of bad memories under the age of 18.
Right.
But I guess the day my grandmother died, I was already 18 at that point.
Okay.
But I feel like losing her, it didn't just hurt me and my siblings. It kind of hurt the whole family. When grandma passes away, the whole family starts to kind of unravel.
Okay.
We've been trying to hold it together, but it's been a long 22 years.
And even in the first 6 years of your life, you had a sister who passed away
No, my sister passed away a couple years ago.
a couple years ago.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
I apologize about that.
No, you're fine.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let's flip it. Let's reverse it.
Mhm.
Looking back at your childhood, do you have a favorite day that, if you could, you would go back to?
Yeah, that is a tough one. A favorite day. I don't necessarily think I do.
Okay.
I don't think I do.
That's a
Yeah.
fair answer. Overall, how would you was there an event or series of events that happened in your childhood that you feel affected your life forever, either negatively or positively?
I was molested when I was little. Yeah, so by a very close family member.
By a very close family member.
Yeah,
As
so-
usual.
Yeah,
Right.
right. And
that's crazy. I want to touch on that for a second.
yeah,
When kids get molested in general, no matter where they're from, you from the suburbs or the hood, like 90% of the time is by, first of all 99% of the time is by somebody you know.
yeah, and it makes it worse.
And then like, I'll say like, I'm making up this percentage on the fly, but I'll say like 90% of the time is a close family member. It's not some random uncle you never seen before. That's frustrating to hear that.
People that have access to you,
Right.
people that have your trust, you know.
Okay.
So, anyway.
Now molested means, and if you don't want to go into it,
Yeah,
we
yeah,
don't
yeah.
have to.
No, it's okay.
It means different things for different people. So for a girl, when a woman says she was molested, does she always mean like she was like?
I was raped, basically. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and it was ongoing. Thank God it stopped when I was about 6 years old, and the consequence, you know, again, it's one of those things that it physically it stopped then, but you know, it's something that I'm still dealing with, you know, at this age.
Right.
So, and it had like a domino effect. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because
Right.
it broke up the family. I believe that's the reason why my mom started using crack, you know, to try to cope with not being there to protect me.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So, you know, it was kind of like a domino effect, you know, and the repercussions, we're still feeling them, you know, today.
So what would you say your overall perception is of how your childhood has affected your life? Like the Annie that you are, the 30-year-old Annie that you are today, the person that you became.
Yeah.
How would you say your overall childhood, if at all, affected your life? Your parenting, your tremendously. Okay.
Tremendously. I thought I was going to have a nervous breakdown when my daughter was born because I knew at some point I would have to go to work or she would have to go to school, you know, or something like that. But, you know, praying and luckily...
How old were
having
you
my
when your
sisters-
daughter was born?
22.
You were 22, okay.
And totally not ready to be a mom. Like,
Right.
you know...
See, people think that a common misconception, the law says when you turn 18, you're an adult. But most of us are still kids, especially guys.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer that anybody who's abused, especially like sexually abused, they're kind of stuck in certain areas at that age.
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? So, it could be, you know, developmentally or like physically, emotionally stunted. That's what I mean. So, like, I had a lot of growing up to do. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I spent a few years, you know, partying, drinking, smoking, whatever. And when I got pregnant, I was like, oh, crap. Like, what am I going to do?
Okay.
Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
I don't believe in abortions, you know, except for, and I don't judge, but, you know, it wasn't for me.
Okay.
So I'm sitting here trying to figure out, like, do I want to have this baby? If I have this baby, do I want to give this baby up? Do you understand what I'm saying? Like,
Right.
And honestly, I was abused when I was in the foster care system. So I'm like, okay, God forbid I give this baby to somebody.
Right.
And something bad happens to her.
Wait, so it happened again when you were in the foster care system?
Yeah. Right before I got to my grandmother's house. Yeah.
Oh, so when you were older? Wow. You
About 9.
want to elaborate on that a little bit?
Not really.
Okay.
It was another child too. So
Okay.
that's important to note.
Wow.
So,
Wow.
but you know, I started going to therapy.
Right. Oh, so you did go to therapy?
Yeah, off
Okay.
and on around the
Okay.
time I had my daughter. That helped a lot.
Okay. It did help.
It helped a lot. Oh my
Okay.
God, it helped a lot. And honestly, my kids were the best thing that ever happened to me.
Okay.
Yeah, to be honest, yeah.
Okay, excellent.
Yeah.
So in conclusion,
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to give you an exercise.
Okay.
I want you to give some advice to blank-year-old Annie. So you pick the age. If you could give her some advice right now, you pick the age. What would you say to her, and how old would she be?
Wow, that's a really good question. Love yourself.
All right, who are you saying
Love
this to?
yourself. Put yourself first.
Who are you saying this to?
5-year-old Annie,
5-year-old
10-year-old
Annie, 10-year-old Annie,
18-year-old
18-year-old Annie. Okay.
Love yourself, and don't be afraid to go after the things you want. That would be
Okay.
the most important thing. Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Thank you, Annie.
Thank you.